Why, hello. Let me make sure everything is good. Oh, I think I forgot to do this. I did. Oh, we're looking good. Hmm. Let's do this. Real quick. Are you working? There we go. Okay. So, we were getting started on this next screen. That's where we were. All right, and we have our toggle placeholder that we're playing around with, so it's kind of like a bare bones proof of concept here, right? But what I'm thinking is that we want this to be a little different. I'm thinking these might get put into a widget. And then my internet will decide that it's just time to drop some frames like it's hot. That was cool. Love that. Catch up, internet. You can do it. Okay, anyway. If I put them into a widget, though, I guess it wouldn't be the end of the world. We would have to pass them a controller, which is fine. But that would lead kind of right back to needing to make the interface more robust. It would also complicate things when I go to modify them. Well, maybe not. Because our goal is to essentially have two widgets that are almost identical. That's the wrong. Almost identical in their behaviors in most aspects, right? They display a list of the thing. They're toggleable between active and inactive. And they have a header and an edit field, kind of like we already did in the other one, which is an interesting point too. Maybe we won't combine widgets just yet, because a lot of this I'm not 100% sure that I completely love. But maybe we will combine at least these two. let's play with that idea a little bit. If we were to skills and attributes, let's check this over here real quick. Status effects, we don't need that, right? Meow. We might need to refer back to it or something, but we could give these guys an interface. We could also do can I do that's not, I thought I saw something about being able to give it properties as well in Dart. I guess my internet's gonna be crap today. There we go. Multiple inheritance. I can give it properties. Okay, interesting. That's very interesting. So if I was to say, you live at the base of screens, right? Yes. If I was to say, create a new file here, I'll call you wait. Object controller base. Yeah. Yeah. What if we called you a config object base? And then what we did over here was just had this really basic. We did need to, we'll still need to do this. Because oh my gosh, I can't type today. That. And then we can do that. And meow. We could also say, just for completeness, that we have a, how would we specify this? Could I do that? I could. and then a can I with that, is that valid? Is that legit? Let's find out. It's interesting. And then up here I would need to say that. And then that. Okay, that's interesting. I would need to do the same thing for the skill model. Do I need to actually annotate this? I don't think I do. Seems to just work. This needs to be annotated. And we'll need to do the same thing down here. But then, okay, so we do that. That gives us the power to say, hey, you just need to give me a list of these things, right? And they can both be different. But in our object controller base, things get a little trickier. We could, though, say the things that implement this have a not an attributes, not a skills items, though, which is a list of config objects. Must be initialized. It goes into the constructor for them. I guess it's going to make me do that, though. But if we then take you, rename you items, I know. Override that. It's not a valid override because of that, though. Even though these guys are config objects, or they implement them. I wonder if that's just not allowed, or if there's something I'm missing here. Well, this is interesting. This says there's actually just an interface. So there's another option, and this doesn't fix this at all. Adds an issue there because it's now no longer an abstract. Which would be fine, except for I would need that to work. I don't think this is actually problematic for us. We would probably just need to take these. Actually, I might be able to do this still. I could. I'd then have to do something else here. I guess I'd have to do that, and it starts to get really gross, right? So I don't love this. I think I'm going to chuck this just because it starts to get really, really messy fast, right? I don't... Let's chuck all that. The other option is... to do type switching, maybe? Or we could do... in here, we could do a get. Because we're not compelled to specify what'll come out of here, right? So we could just do... like get items. And then this would be just that. I don't hate that. That would satisfy the new interface requirement there. And so then we can just say, hey, I require you to give me an object controller. Yeah, let's kind of noodle along that train of thought here. Then we don't have to worry about this. Well, we need to know at some point what we're dealing with, right? But that point might just be at the edit screen, right? Because we need to build a form, the correct form, because these will have different things to them. A skill, name, UUID, name, description, help text, and base attribute ID. This has UUID, name, description, and help text. So basically this one just has base attribute ID in addition, which might be fine. Can I find the type? Runtime check runtime type checking. Yes. Just an is. Okay. So we could do that. Let's give that a stab, and if we don't like how it starts to shape up, we can always change it. So in here, at the root of my skills and attributes, we're going to make a new file for a new widget. We're going to call you what are we going to call you? You're kind of like the group. You're the widget that you edits. Just editor widget because you're inside of the skills and attributes folder. What if we called you editor pane? What do we call the edit panel and a sidebar tile? We should follow the same pattern here and put you in widgets. That's fine though. I'm okay with that. Editor pane and edit panel are too close together. What if we instead called you something like toggleable editor That's fine for now. If we think of a better name, we can certainly change it. Okay. Let's scoot you over here. We need material. You need to be stateful, I think. Get our key in there. State, create, state. That. Pardon me. We can just do a hello world for you. I forgot to underscore that. Okay. Now, to get these guys to toggle. Here we did a flex, which is fine for the left and the right. Could I actually just put all of this in here? We need to move this up here, which is fine. Happy to do that. You would need to come over here, but we want you to drive this. So what we're actually going to want here and I want to think about, is there a way for this to get out of sync? I don't think so. I think we're okay there, but we need to do... This needs to be driven by the parent. The other thing we could do... Well, our behavior before, anytime you clicked on anything in here, the whole thing became clickable, and that would make it active. So it would swoop over. And in order to do that, we got to set the other one to not active. But this we could drive off of that can't be final, but we can do that. Actually, the other thing we could do say you're required. And we can say if it is, if it's not. But how are we going to wire our clicky up in Flutter to do that? We use the event system in Cogent. Could just pass in the on-click. Gesture detector is what we would wrap. Okay, so we would drive that also based on its active or not. We could also do a button. Like, we just chucked these in here for the sake of testing that thing. We're not actually required to have these in here. We could do is just have that. You need to be that. We would then not need this at all. This would end up being toggleable editor. Active is, let's just say true. False. We go all the way to there. I have extra things now. Oops. There we go. So that'd be that. But we could also in here do a center. Here we would have to do a state up here. This. Oh my gosh. Oh, I mistyped it. That's why I wasn't. So here we can do a flippy floppy in theory. where we say set state like so. You, however, something like that, as an example. I like that. To change this up right quick. It's not what I meant. That, I think, is what I meant. Okay. This is good. I like this. Does this still need to be stateful? I kind of like this explicit button between the two. There is a small version of this, so that makes it even more small. I like that. I think you have a shape. You do have a shape. Your shape is a shape border. If we give you an empty one, you become square. I like that. Okay. We might need to change our flexes a little bit, but that's okay. They're nicely broken out already. Okay, we need to do... You're already expanded. We probably need to do a border around you to match our old style. I was reasonably happy with that. If we don't make these clickable, if we just rely only on this border, I don't really think we lose any intuitiveness. Like, I don't think clicking on these is any more intuitive than this if we add this in here. In fact, I think it's the opposite, right? I think this is much more intuitive. So if we don't do that, then we don't have to worry about doing any state in here. It wouldn't be the end of the world if we had to pass that in, because we would just end up passing this. Like, maybe we'd break it down to like a quick helper function or something if we had to do it a bunch of times. But I just don't think we need to. I think it's perfectly fine that way. We can change it later if we need to. Okay, so this is a column. You're in expanded. What is a border go in? Decoration? Abstract. I think it's decorated box. No. How do I do this again? Container, box decoration. That's what it is. Close, close. Box decoration, which has the border. Border all. And I am going to pop open status effects here. We gave you borders as well. We want to use the same color, primary color light. And we did a border width. We'll do the same. Width. Am I not allowed? Can't be accessed. Oh, interesting. Not that. Just the width, please. I can get that, though, because I am in the same class. Interesting. Okay. That's all right. I'm okay with that. That gets me the borders. We want inside of our container also to have a padding, which is just the edge inserts. Or insets, rather. We can do symmetric here. Ooh, actually, do I want padding or margin? I'm gonna want both. Okay. But actually here, this becomes interesting. Margin, we can say vertical. If so, 20, otherwise 40. 60. That's better, I think. Maybe 40 was fine. I don't want it to be too hard to read this list. Yeah, let me do a commit here. This is shaping up well. I'm happy with this so far. Drop in a separate widget for both halves. The widget. Okay, so let's get some headers in here. Container, we have our column, which just has this right meow. But is going to need This needs to be inside of a container. That's what it needs. Like so. This needs a box decoration. How did I do this before? How did I do this in skill? No, status effects. Ah, bottom. Okay, I see. Bottom. No. Border is a border inside of which bottom, and we do border side. Our same color. Border width. This whole container, though. Well, it doesn't need to be that. Well, it does. It does need to be. This needs to be in a row. You need to be max. No? Do I need to expanded you? Just around the row? No, that centers you. Before, over here I did... We had a column. We expanded, did the child, a container. There was a row. But then we expanded the other things inside of all of that. I guess it's all still inside the columns. That's all probably fine. I think the thing I really need to do... Well, that's expanded. Is that what I want to do? Does that still make sense? We only put the header over there. That's why I did that. Okay. That makes more sense. But in here, it's going to be across. Well, does it have to be? Do I like that better? This had the same sort of discrepancy there. And because it collapses down like that, maybe it's fine to put it in there like that. It would kind of unify everything. Yeah, maybe so. Okay, so over here, we did a row. This is all inside of container. Why did we do a row? Was there a special reason? Or did that just happen as we laid things out? I don't think it matters. We do a column here. We're going to say flex 1. We'll still put that up top. We put you in a row over here, and I think we got to do the same thing because we want you to be centered in both respects. Hi to you as well. But why aren't you expanded here like you were over there? We need to take our padding out of this widget, though. Because that's going to break that. We can put it in here, I think. Yes. And then alignment, center, center, boom, boom. Reasonably happy with that. Here, though, we need to... Oh, that's why this had a row. This is a row because after this one, we need another. You're a column as well. And we can do just a placeholder here. We'll center that. This container here. It's actually this one up here. No, I lied. It's this one. This needs a container because where did I mess that up? Container expanded here. No. You have a closing. Oh, no, you don't. There you go. Because this needs actually the right. Border width. Didn't quite work. Why not? This should actually be only if it's active. Otherwise, it should be null. I need to also change this to that, just for readability. But you're not showing me, and it could be this overflow I've got going on. It's annoying me. What we need to do for that. Yes, I know. Is that so that you shut up and stop overflowing on the right. So you only get your placeholder when appropriate. But my border It's not correct. Something is wrong here. Container goes around the row. Border on the right. I have my where's my widget debug gone? Flutter Dev Tools. Flutter Inspector, that's the one. Select widget mode. You. Oh, because I put it around the... Okay, I put it in the wrong place. That's why. Duh. I actually need this to be down. Actually, all of this to be down here. Which is going to also necessitate that one of these goes away. Oh, that was the right one. And then after this column, we get a new one of them. Perfect. Much better. Whoop, something just happened. Oh, I'm still in select mode. There we go. Okay. We'll need to change this flex a little bit, but that's okay. That's good. That's shaping up. Get out of that. Let's do... That's one... Three? Yeah. Much better. Loving that. Okay. Let's do a quick commit here. Okay. Meow. We can probably do away... Yeah, we can leave that in there for a second. We need a title for the widget. It's required. Title for this one is going to be attributes. So I want to do that, or instead of a string, I say, you must give me a text widget. And then I say in here, title. Then I can do that. That can be const. Same here with that. Yeah. Yeah. Happy with that. Do I still want to call you title? What did the buttons call you? Where did I have buttons? Buttons, I think, just call it child usually. If I called you label instead. I like label. Doesn't change anything, it's just easier to read. Okay. The other thing that this requires is either a list of objects or the controller. And I think we're going to want to give it the controller. Because then it can hand off to its subordinate edit panel widget the we can set up the on click, right? Yeah, let's just keep up with that pattern, I think. It worked pretty well. So you will need... Oh my gosh. It's been a long week already. Object controller. Just call you controller. Controller. Well, do we want to call you that, or do I want to say object controller? Let's do that. And meow, as part of our state. And I'm going to steal skills and attributes. Oops, I don't want to cut. I want to just copy. Those can go up here. Probably want a config file or something from for these. And then in here, we'll do the same thing we did in our state here. Attributes and skills controllers, like so. Import both of you. Meow is active. Object controller. Your attribute controller over here your skill controller over here. And I crashed. Hey, Apex, how's it going? Good to see you again. It's interesting. I don't know why Flutter fell over. Okay, but that's fine. And now over here, we need to do a list builder. Go and find printing models and painting things badly. Oh, you're a mini painter now? I should send you some pictures. I paints the minis. I likes it. Progress is good. We'll get buttoned up with the status effects stuff. That's all where I want it for now. Rebuilding the skills and attributes screen. Doing digital art since 2009. Yes. Modeling, rigging, 3D assets, and some 2D animation. Gotcha. But when you say printing models and painting things badly, you mean like 3D printing, like tabletop minis or stuff, right? Or am I totally misunderstanding? .3D printing, yes, but not minis. Oh, okay. Full figures for a buddy who's aiming to sell them. Cool. Gotcha. My mind immediately goes to like D&D minis when people say that they're printing models, so totally my bias there. Okay, so we need a list builder in here the same way we did the other thing. Cloth physics in Blender are a huge pain in the ass. I think cloth physics in general are kind of a huge pain in the ass. Thus the lack of them, you know, or mostly lack of them in games. You only see them every so often. And we need to put you inside of this column here. After this one, we can just do another column in here. And here, how did we do that over here? We did a list builder, which required us to have a selected index. List view builder, that's what you were. Okay. And we didn't need a column, we just let the list view builder. Okay. That's right, because this makes a scrollable automagic. Was reading a new paper about a new algorithm that's pretty good for it, though not real-time rendering. Almost there, but not quite. Cool. They got simulations to tie knots. I didn't read the paper, but I saw the GIFs of that circling. Tie knots and spin cloth into what you'd expect if you twisted it up, but without excess collision issues or clipping. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, yeah. You just need to have your parameters filled in. Item count. Okay, so this is where it gets tricky. The code's available for free. I'm just not sure how to implement it in Blender. Right. You would have to, like, do your own plugin, I assume. But here's where we need to figure out how we're going to handle what these things are. No, no, we don't. I'm dumb. We could actually do, because we already did that. We have get items that we can get stuff out of there. We could also say that you need to do implement something that gives me an item count. Which is easy. That. Same deal here. Both of you now implement that. So here I can say the item count is my item count. Item builder is required. Oh, I did that wrong. There we go. This takes the build context, int index. And then this, I think, I don't know if I can just do this directly and it'll figure it out or not. Can I do that? In theory. This guy needs to return a thing. Can I... I don't think it would help us to have an interface for this. Because we at this point this is where we need to know what you are, kind of, sort of. Pretty sure. Well, not necessarily. Kind of. So we can maybe just do... it's not that. It's not a dot. It's just... If you are a attribute, spit out the name for me. I don't actually need string interpolation there. Can I switch on types in Dart? Is that a thing I'm allowed to play with? Class type. Oh, I can. Okay. Runtime type. Interesting. Okay. So instead of doing that, I could do this. I say case attribute. Chuck you in there. Case skill. Except for you don't. Okay. Okay. See what we're getting into here. We need to import you. Default. Throw. Or actually we could just spit out a text that just says, hey, you're a bad type. Then I don't need that. I do have some other issues here, though. You, I think, need to be in an expanded vertical viewport. Give it unbound height. Yes, yes, yes. How do we like them apples? We like them. Kind of. We need to reload. Okay, I'm not seeing... Oh. No? Why didn't I get a list of names? Got you. I've given you over here. Got my list view builder. Go to my inspector. Select widget. List view is there. What have I messed up? Item count, item builder. Get items. Index. Item builder. We switch for return. That should be correct. Would you be at a different... Yeah, I need to pass these in as a config file. I think that's it. I think I'm a level deeper. Could also be wrong. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, you know what? No, because it defaults to the root of the project, I believe. So I only need to go up one still. Oh, I never called load. Duh. We need to do the same thing we did here. In the binding load data, which down here, we put everything in here. We can do the same thing. I'm quite happy with that idea. We could make this we could pull it out, but it's fine. We need to add an error list. I think that's what I did. Let me go double check. Yeah. Exception. Except for, oh. Put you outside of the class. That's not going to help. There we go. Except for we don't have an effects controller, so we just get rid of that. We have these other two still. Now let's try that. Perfect. Invalid attribute type. Okay. Why would you be telling me you're invalid? Do I need to do that? No. It's very strange to me that you say invalid attribute type and then the exact type, which is correct. I couldn't do that. That's because that's throw it away. Just for a funsies. Okay, that worked. So something about chucking in that I'm doing this incorrectly in some way, shape, or form. Interesting. Okay. And if I do that, it's also invalid. So what am I supposed to do? This GitHub issue. Type literals in switch cases are confusing. I'm indeed confused. Case the type underscore that, case the type. Okay, what did you all decide on eventually? This is done now. Okay. Well, you failed to route me around your confusing syntax. Can I do what they are suggesting? Let's just find out. Okay, that works as well. And silences my annoying... I have to do that, or can I actually do this all in one? I think I need to do that, which is fine. And then it gets my names in there. Okay. And I can type switch here. I'm okay with that. That gets my skills in there. Okay, good. Perfect. Good enough for me. Get a list builder in place for the tiles. Get type switching working. All right, now we need to do is get these into a reusable widget that can take... Does it need to take an object, or does it need to take the specifics? Actually, if we were to kind of roll back the clock and think again about making an interface for these guys, then this widget could run on the interface. We need to wire up the clicking of it to something specific, I think. How did we do that over here? No, we set the selected widget over here. Okay. That's fine. Here we can switch it. If we could actually maybe even reuse this particular, not that one, this particular widget. We could convert you. Okay, that starts to get even more interesting. Let's try that out. Let's go back to the idea of a base for these guys. And we still need the UUID. Because we're going to say abstract class configure or config object. And you're going to have just the property. Dang it, we did this just a little bit ago. I think you just specify it. So this. Oh, you killed my import, you jerk. Okay. And then string name, string description. These are required to be set, so I think we just do that. So then we can come over here to these guys first. Implements config object. That, like so, easy peasy. That. Override these guys. Gives us that, right? We also need to do, if we're going to do this crazy idea, status effects. Implements config object. override, override, override. Okay, now close you for a second. We would need to come over here and pull. First, we'll refactor you. You're renamed to just a sidebar tile. Actually, hang on. Big object sidebar tile. Yeah, fix that up. And then pull you out into widgets. I think I need to refactor, move. Into widgets. Hopefully that takes care of all the other bits and pieces. I need to come back over here really quick. We need to make sure that this fella here is still working when we do this. So let's pull this over. Okay, so we've got our sidebar tiles here. And then sidebar tile. Instead of taking a status effect, you're going to take a config object. All of this all still works. Call you config object as well. Let's make sure we reload. Yeah, okay, perfect. So if we do that, then we can come back to main here, switch this back over, fix that. Oop, that broke it. Declared in class, what? That was weird. Okay. It reloaded that time though. Bizarre. But, okay, so let's just get this tidied up real quick. That's fine. Instead of this, can I do that? No. You still have to be an object. But I can say that you're a config object here. Is that smart? Things started to get messy as soon as we tried to say that you're going to have a list of... Oh, but we didn't. We didn't say that this had to return a list of config objects. Will that break our get? Looks like it doesn't. It's able to figure that out. We had issues specifying this as the generic, or as the interface type. This now can be, hopefully, that. Oh, I don't need you anymore. That's what's going on. And then here, I can return a, oh, you know what I forgot to do is config object sidebar. You take object for now, this is false. That can go in the trash. For free, we get all that. We just need to come in here and do over here. We wrapped you in a padding. We need to do the same thing here. And we're going to use the same values just to keep things visually consistent. Like so. Perfection via reuse here. Love that. Okay. And then this needs to be this should be private. Or should it? You can be final, that's fine. You can be final as well. We're going to do the same thing here. That on pressed, do a function. We'll use set state the same way we did here. That. And we're going to do this one here as well up here. Did we late up here as well? Oh, no, we did. Okay. We did a -1 just to make sure we initialized with something that made sense, but wasn't mandatory or didn't have something already selected. That's fine. The config object this is nullable there. Okay. And now we can selecty clicky, but only should only be when we're active that we're allowed to clicky. And do these guys preserve? They do. Okay. So might have to figure out how to clear that when we do a clicky. But this one, if we're active, we do that. Otherwise, it's null. That's easy enough. So now you can't clicky when you're not active. Would we have to... Would we have to override... What would we have to override here? Let's actually commit this really quick. Add interface for figure objects. Implement it in all the objects we have right now. Pull out the sidebar tile to be reused. Use all of that in the skills and attributes screen. Perfect. Okay. What do we need to do to make you deselect when you're not active? Theoretically, you're getting rebuilt. So was it that? I always forget the name. Did update widget is what it is. And then we can say, what are you mad about? It's not valid. Oh, it's because I need this. And then we add the super. I don't think it matters if it's before or after. Hopefully it's neither doesn't. And then we say we null that. Ooh, that might be a problem. This is only if the widget is not active. That might be okay. So meow. Yes, good. Maybe we don't null selected object though. Well, we would want to. I'm just thinking if you're toggling, like if you're like, hey, I just want to check over here, then it sucks if this goes away completely. We'll have to play with this a little bit. This might need to change, but it might be all right. And we'll do a commit for on widget update clear the selected tile and null selected object. Okay, meow. Let's start getting the editor in position, in place. This is where we're going to have to split up behaviors because it can't just use the interface. It has specific form fields it needs to build. But they're going to be similar. But it's going to make kind of a mess if we put a bunch of switches in there, I think. Or ternaries or whatever to say, hey, if it's this type of object, then add this field. I think that's going to suck. And I think it's actually a simple enough widget in its scaffolding that it's not specific that we can probably just recreate it and it's probably fine. It is a little bit of duplication, but eh. And then we can just do the switch. Need to close some of this. This is too much stuff. I think I'm done with those for now. Those might come in handy. That's good. I can go away. Okay. And then here is where we can do our switch. Right on this. Well, no, because we don't even need to do it there. Because we just set the selected object. So we would need to do it over here. Where we say, hey, if the selected object is a attribute, then load the attribute form widget. That's your child. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty sure that's what we want. Okay. So let's start builderizing the edit form. Let's say you are attribute edit pane dart. Did I call you pane? Did I call you panel? Hello to you as well, Kirby. Why am I not? I called you panel. That's fine. We will continue to call you panel. And in fact, I wish to open you. And see what I can steal from you. Ooh, yeah, I will need this to be... Because skills are going to need the attribute list. And I don't want to reinitialize it from the file every time I open that pane. So I'm going to need to put you in the parent and have you read it, and you can hold that. But then if we change you, does that matter? No, because you're just giving the controller to the children objects, children widgets. So that's fine. I won't need that. This is a stateful widget. Do I need... Yes. Yes, because... Well, maybe not for this one. We needed a stateful for checkboxes for sure. I just switch device. Cool. We don't have checkboxes. I don't think. We need to run the actual. Skills and attributes. Yeah, we don't have checkboxes. This, though, this will need to be stateful, I'm pretty sure. This looks a lot like Java. Kinda, yeah. It has some Java-ness, it has some C-ness, it has some JavaScriptiness. It's Dart. It's its own thing, but it's all kind of different. Has lots of influences. But because we're splitting these widgets in half, I don't need to care about anything but this one in this particular instance. So that might be fine. Let's try making you stateless. Material, please, not Cupertino. And if we need to change it, we'll just change it. Okay, what do we need as a minimal? We got our super key. What do we need as a minimal thing to get this wired up so we can use eyeballs? We need to be able to just display. We can start with a name. That'd be fine. Just a text box with the name. So I need you to have a... And this is starting with attributes. Wired this attribute. Need to import that. That should be final. What am I building? The editor for a mud game server / engine. Okay. Then I should be able to say here attribute name. Just that be simple. Then I need to hook you up. Skills and attributes. We load you, so that's fine. You come in here. So yeah, we just need to hook you up to. Where did you go? Toggleable editor. Here you go. Selected object is that. In here, instead of this guy, I need an I think I have to put it out here though. Can't do it, or can I do an if in here? I can't do that in here. I would need to do... How would I do that? Could use a builder. Immediate anonymous function. Spread operators are method. Oh, I can use switch expressions in there. Okay. All right. Let's try that. So theoretically, we can use the runtime type here. Eight. They're using a different syntax here. It's a weird expression. Expression body, whichever case matches. It looks like it's this. Wrapper? What kind of wrapper? What do you mean? Doesn't like that, but I don't think this syntax works like this in this case. Inside of the list. The example they're giving doesn't. If you need multiple widgets under the same condition, wrap them in a list. Oh, it's already a list. We're not trying to use multiple widgets. We're trying to conditionally. But the syntax is wonky inside of widgets like this. So this should work, though. seems to say it's not going to, but it should. So we do an if, and then we do runtime type. If you're an attribute, import that, please. Then we do an attribute edit panel. That should work. And it does. Okay, perfect. And then over here, we need to do the same thing. Okay, yeah. Not having that selected might suck, but we'll come back to that. We do the same exact thing here. We say if you're a skill, we'll just do a text for a second. Well, no. Let's actually copy this whole thing. It's silly to throw a text in there when I can just do this. You're a skill edit panel. What are you? Where are you? You're in material. There you are. The ones you weren't completing. This is skill. That. You become imported, please. There. Here we just say skill edit panel. This is a skill. What we could do is just say, no, that's fine. That should be okay. Hopefully. Strength, agility, endurance, mind, perception. Okay, perfect. Let's do a commit for that. That is not the correct place. Rough in the edit panel widget. It's actually really scaffold in. Okay. Now we can go forth into making them much more useful. So, start with attributes, I suppose. This we want to be I believe this has to be expanded because we're going to have some text fields in here. Some text editor fields, that is. And they will become very crumpy if we don't have stuff for them. We had to do something else here as well to get it centered. We wound up doing a scaffold, scroll view. We probably won't need a scroll view. Oh, we just did edge insets. That's all we did. And then a form. Okay. We did the formula table. Yeah, that's all fine. That's all still very good. We will want our container to wrap that. This guy, we're going to use the same paddings, I think. We just did 15s on both of those. This could actually be const while I'm looking at that. We're going to keep the theme of having a border around it. That's fine. It'll make it look nice. Keep that all the same. Banded, okay. Why aren't you... You know what? We had to do something else around you as well. I think... Put you in and expanded a padding as well to center you. Do I need to do that? Can I const this as well? No. Didn't think so. If I was to do that... and put you like that. For instance. That would bump you in like that. But could I get the same behavior if I did that instead and then chucked that back out of there? Looks very much the same to me. As long as this doesn't break the text editor fields when we add them, then it should be okay. How would you link the UI to another programming language API? Depends on what do you mean by linking it. Like, what are you trying to... Like, where are you splitting it, and what are you trying to really accomplish, right? If you're building like the client for the game engine, that's linked via WebSockets because it's online, right? Um, but if it's all local, like this portion, the editor works with config files. So I don't use another language. I just use Dart the whole way. Yeah, okay. I don't know why this expanded isn't expanderizing to fill that whole box. We'll keep going though. This one is only to show the logic. The main part must be might be in another language, right? Well, for this, no. This is all the controllers that drive the reading config files and things are all in Dart as well. It's because you don't have container form. The table must be where I'm getting my width here. I bet you as soon as we put something other than the text in here, it'll be better. Okay. Speaking of which, we need to have a form key in here. Oh, what was the global key? Form state. You earn the form key. And then what else do we need here? I don't think anything, just a child. Table. Vertical alignment, middle, so everything's nice and centered. The table column width. We'll do the same values here for now, and we can change them if we need to, but I think this should be quite sufficient. All of that. Why are you upset? Form key. Oh, no, I did just do that. Oh, because I forgot to actually use it. Ooh, but that breaks. I think this does have to be stateful. We'll fix that in a second. I just want to get down this text form field. Wait, no. Table row, that's what it is. Inside of which you have a list of widgets. I forgot this. That's going to be important. There we go. That'll get that scaffolded in. So you're building the logic for the graphical app, not the game itself. Yes. Just the framework. No. You could think of the editor as its own app, right? It works with the config files so that you don't have to write config files by hand. The idea is that you can build a game without touching code, basically, as long as you're good with all the default options that the engine provides. If you want custom crap, then you have to go in and write the code, right? But you'd link the game through to the UI through an instance? No. That part will be handled by another developer? Also no. So, okay, let me do this. Let me start up the server, the database server, because we need to be able to talk to it for the server to run, the game server. Okay, so okay, the server is written in Go. We're going to start it. We'll give it a second to get everything all fired up. Okay. Now let's open recent projects, the client in a new window. I could launch it from the command line as well, but this is just easier. So this is the client. Its UI is also written in Dart. So it needs to know how to handle messages from the server, essentially. That all lives in Dart, right? And in fact, we can look at connection over here while we wait for it to build. There it goes. So we can look at connection here, and we have a couple of helpers that handle specific types of messages, and we also just have a way to handle just getting a message in general, right? Over here, this is the client. So it just talked to the server, and we can see here we have a debug that said get character request is returning, right? So the server saw a get character request that the client sent to the server, and it sent back and said, cool, these are the characters that you own. We click on here, and we can see here there's a couple things. Login successful, get character request received, right? That was where we were. Get character request returning. Here's all the startup logic for this character. So we're now listening to notifications from it. And this is just a debug of its state in the game world. So we can see here where we are. We're at 0, 0. There's some exits. We can look and see a little bit more detail. We can move all that, and you can see the server doing that as well. Actually, for this, I think I would need another. Oop. Give that a second. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Okay, so now we have another client here. So another player could log in, and all the same things will happen in the server. You can see here, Another login successful, all that good stuff being logged. Running out of real estate here. But if this guy was to come back, let's see, we're at 1-1. So we can go northeast and then west, west. You can see over here that bar just saw the foo character enter. And when we came into here, hey, barman is right here. And you can look at one another. So the server is just seeing events come in and it's deciding what to do with them, right? So look was handled. And then if bar is to leave, we can see that bar leaves to the east, right? So the client application knows how to handle these messages and what to do with them. In this case, it's really just to display them on the screen, right? But it also knows how to send these messages to the server. And the server logic does server logic things, like, you know, run the state of the game world, such as it is. So all of that is connected by WebSockets. Isn't an app supposed to run on one thread? I mean, it's not supposed to. You can do what you want. How do you make two apps run at the same time as one app running with two window instances? No, it's two separate apps. I just launched the other one through a terminal. And this one was launched through the IDE. It's a separate process, essentially, right? Okay, that, like so. We need to make you stateful. This needs to be that. This needs to be or not that, that. Init state. So that, no, I've done that wrong. Misremembering something. Create state, that's what you are. And then, because you don't yet. Thought you. Oh yeah, no, just one from JetBrains. The other I launched from a terminal. That's why I had to open it and let it build over there too. This needs to come over here. Shoop. That. What are you being grumpy about over here? You have a function body. Whatever. I think that's a bug. Just a UI bug. That goes away from there. Now that lives there. Okay. That fixes that trubs. Which is actually a reasonably good place to stop. Let's just do a quick commit here. Oh, let's shut that down. I'm done with that for now. Let's see here. Convert to stateful widget. I should say convert attribute edit panel stateful widget scaffolding the form and table. There we go. But yeah, so if you wanted to connect two different languages in a non like client server way, that gets more complicated, and it's usually best to just not do it. You can do like embedded stuff with things like Lua. You could embed Lua in something else to where it like executes Lua scripts inside of your other program. That's what a lot of game engines will do for stuff like their scripting languages and stuff like World of Warcraft's UI is all Lua, I think. Stuff like that. You can do named pipes with Linux. Windows has some kind of similar stuff, but then you get into like platform specific stuff, right? I assume Mac has named pipes as well, but I don't know. I don't work on Mac. You can do there's some interop stuff you could do with like C and other languages, but it gets annoying quickly. And you really kind of like need a good reason to really do it, right? But I'm currently building a graphical app with Maui. Okay. I've heard of it, I've never used it. It does its job, but it's not as exciting as creating big games linked to databases. It's a school project, so they basically make it easier for us. Gotcha. I mean, it's all the same stuff, right? You get more and bigger problems, but like at the root level, storing a user's info in a database is really the same exact thing as storing a character info in the database, right? And manipulating that data in some way, shape, or form it's all just manipulating data. You encounter some slightly different problems when you work on game stuff, like the order of operations can matter a little bit more, and you need to think a little bit more critically about things like okay, what happens if two players input the same attack at the same time and they would kill each other, right? Does one kill the other one, and then that one's attack doesn't go through, or is like I think Smash Brothers was kind of notorious for having port priority. So in that case, whoever had player one would have priority over player two, so they would win the tie, right? So things like that kind of crop up. But like the core of it is all just reading and manipulating and storing data, All right, this is all in a good place for tonight. I am going to go to bed. But I do this thing for roughly 2-ish hours, 4 days a week, starting on Friday and ending on Monday. So I should be here again tomorrow doing this again, and I'd love to see you guys again. Thanks to all of you who showed up and hung out. It was great to see you. It was great to chat with you. And yeah, come see me again. But if not, hey, you guys have a great week anyway. We'll catch you some other time. I mean, yeah, but there aren't really update methods, key listeners, or interactions. Well, you're still key listeners because you type things into the screen, right? So that happens. But anyway, yeah, I start at 8 p.m. Central. Swing by again. Thanks, everybody.